Alright, so this is kind of what I was talking about in the last video too. We'll go the science road first. So this is, everybody's seen a rainbow. You know, we all know what rainbows look like. The arc starts in one spot, ends at the other. Um, Now, depending on who you ask, like say, the Bible says that it's God's promise that He'll never flood the earth again. If you ask science, it says it's a combination of reflection, refraction, and dispersion. So let me show you something, but just realize that that is light that is bending. Light does not bend. The only way light can bend is around a corner, or if something with a high gravitational pull can arc it and make it bend, such as the sun, not the earth. The earth isn't big enough. So with that being said, that should be impossible for light to bend like that, and I'll show you why. So this is reflection. See how light goes in one side, it bounces off and goes straight out the other side, like a pyramid, like upside down pyramid. There's no curvature, there's no bending. Light travels in a straight line, you know, so that's the reflection. So if the rainbow of colors was coming into our atmosphere, it would bounce off and then it would reflect back up. So it would be technically an upside down rainbow is what you would see, because the light would be entering one point and then exiting the other. This is another example, a mirror, in down one side, straight out the other side, like a right angle. No curvature, no bendage. So this is light dispersion. We'll get to that next. We'll do refraction. So the refraction of light. Do you see how the change in direction is a point? You see the 90-degree angle over here, and there's still no actual bending or anything. It's still an angle, still a hard, because it travels in a straight line. It's supposed to be, unbendable, on Earth anyways. Now, let me see. This is air and water bending light. And again, no curvature, just an angle. The whole arc thing, once again, should be impossible. So if light was reflecting and refracting, so far it was right angles, or angles to begin with, no dome or no curvature. So this is through a converging lens, which is, rounded or whatever. Again, light travels through, breaks off into separate sections, and then breaks off again in angles, pyramids, no curves. Even going through a curve, no curves. So again, it makes no sense that a rainbow bends like that, right? So this is dispersion. This is when light hits a prism, passes through, and disperses into the different colors, right? Still, it's going through a pyramid, it hits a right angle, and comes out in all these colors. But that's still a triangle, that's not a globe or whatever like the Earth is, right? So here's a real picture of it going through a prism. White light goes through, splits off, all right angle, all sharp angles, no curvature, no bending. Now this is through a globe. This is through like a sphere. Now you notice how the color engulfs the ball. It stays in there. It's trapped in there. It's not all of it's leaving, but there is a slight rainbow around the equator of it. So if light was entering our atmosphere and then exiting, it would go around like that. So instead of starting on the ground and ending on the ground, it would be the whole sky. The whole sky would light up in the rainbow of colors, if that makes any sense. There shouldn't be a beginning or an end. It should just be the whole sky trapping the light. And there's another example. Even when it exits, do you see there's no curvature of light? There's no arc. Even here, you see a circle, but you see how the colors are split up? They're not side by side, like the rainbow, they're opposite sides. So again, wherever you were standing, the sky would be red, the sky would be green, or the sky would be blue. It's being like trapped basically no matter how you look at it, it doesn't make sense. Like even here, light goes in, right angles, straight out. So the curvature still makes no sense. And that's how a sun bends light. Still, the stream of light isn't entering a prism, so therefore you wouldn't see the rainbow colors or whatever because it's not entering a prism, it's just going around something and it's basically pulling the light in a separate direction. So with all that being said, there's no real explanation for why that's possible. So when I said that Sumerians muddied our waters is what they said they did. What they did was they only allow these colors to stay in our atmosphere, if that makes sense. These ones are being bounced back down, so our vision is flooded with them. Just like say if you have a bunch of stuff in a room and you turn on a bright red light, everything looks red. You know what I mean? Even if it's not red or if it's yellow or whatever, it's going to have a red hue to it. So you'll be blind to the actual colors that are in front of you because the other color is overwhelming, if that makes any sense. Now, I was wondering how could they trap only those colors in here and let the other ones escape, because in reality, when you look at the rainbow, that should be from the horizon to the sky, all different colors that we don't know, but in between where you see clouds, it should all be colors. And it should be the opposite way. If light was coming into our atmosphere, it would come in from up here, just like the image, and then it would bounce off right here, and then it would go up here, which would cause, if anything, a triangular prism type rainbow or upside down one. So with what I said in the last video about the color spectrums and what they did, now, so something has to be bending this light, has to be trapping it down here with us and not allowing it to escape our atmosphere. So this is what I'm talking about with the mirroring and all that. Now here's one of the rainbows. See it? Now let's see what the other colors are doing. Now you see how they're trapped, like the different layers. Now, what's this is what I'm wondering. Do you see the gray area right here? What's that the light's bouncing off of right there? It's bigger. Right there is where it's hitting. Let me double it. Now look at this. You see that in the sky? Where the light's reflecting back down, or it can't get out of them. I know you see all the faces and stuff, but that's not what I'm talking about here. At that point, it's irrelevant. I'm just showing you that there's above each rainbow, and at the beginning and at the end, there's a starting point. There's something producing the light or trapping it. Now, if you think this is like coincidence that it starts with something like this and stops in the sky and then bounces back down, and that's just one example. Let's go to another one. It's just rainbow. Oh, look. Again, at the top and at the bottoms, the light is coming from somewhere. It's not entering our atmosphere, it's already here. it's stuck here. It's bouncing back up and down basically, but there has to be something manipulating it because it won't do that on its own. Do you see that UFO looking thing right there? And again up here. You see that what's above the lights, the rainbow? Something has to manipulate it. It can't bend naturally without a high gravitational pull or a corner. Now, a lot of people like the science post, but they're still not understanding why the mirror and the color and all that, because our vision is so clouded with the rainbow colors that the other colors aren't visible. But it doesn't mean they're not there, and it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means we need basically technology to translate to what we can see, basically to colors that we do know. Now look at this, for instance. This is another anomaly of a rainbow, which I think would be more accurate of a rainbow because of how it curves up. But again, I'm going to show you. Every time there's a rainbow, there's something manipulating the light. And you're not going to find a rainbow that doesn't have something like this. Like, there's always something up there manipulating it. And it's there because they're hiding from us. They bend light to flood colors that we see, so we can't see their colors, basically. Now, I know I've been sounding crazy, but like, I know what I'm talking about. I research a lot of different fields. I'm not a professional by any means in any of these fields, but I know enough science, I know enough geography, I know enough architectural stuff, I know enough of it all to basically piece it all together. And then I'm gonna make another video of how this relates to literally everything from a cell to a city to the planet to the universe, basically. This is what they were talking about. But again, anytime you see the prism looking thing here, black pyramid, and you see up here, like something is, and also it looks like a circuit board. You notice the circuit board look in the sky? That's not what the sky actually looks like when you go outside and take a picture right now. But when there's a rainbow, there's something manipulating it to where it looks like that, basically. So that, to me, that explains why the rainbow bends, because they muddied our waters, which means they trapped all the colors we see in front of us, so we can't see nothing else. But like I said, black and white is at the beginning and the end of basically every spectrum, because every color in existence, you can add white or black to it and make it lighter or darker. So the beginning of the actual color spectrum rainbow would be white, not the beginning of our rainbow, if that makes any sense. But you don't actually see black and white in our rainbow. It's because they're neutral tones, they're not colors. There's another one. But notice there'll be always something manipulating the light, keeping it in, keeping the colors of the rainbow trapped under our atmosphere, and all the rest of them. You see the big upside down V? That's the rest of the spectrum bouncing in and out, like natural, like what a rainbow should look like, an upside down V, just like in the diagrams. So the upside down V of all the squiggles and all that stuff, that's the actual rainbow. That's what we would see, is all the colors from the ground all the way to the sky in a huge V as it reflects down to the earth, then back up through the atmosphere. You notice that the light always, our colors always start from somewhere down here, a being or something, and then they stop at something up here and get reflected back down. Right there be your and that right there is what's keeping the light trapped in, basically. Now I'm hoping this is starting to make sense to you guys and start coming around and help me figure out some things that I don't know, because like I said, I'm not a professional in any of these fields, and if somebody is, they could help me out drastically. Again, big old thing in the sky up here. You see, this is where it comes down. Now, do you see that big old guy up here? And also down here where it's beginning and ending. There's always something. You're not going to find a rainbow that doesn't have something above it reflecting the light back down. And that's inside of our atmosphere. That's not, you know what I mean? He's right there, right where it meets. Bam. Reflecting it back down at the brightest spot. You can almost see it right there. Prism looking thing, triangle. Now, if you haven't watched the other video, you need to watch that and put it together with me.